Hello! Nice to see you here. You will probably agree that the words summer and Palanga have already become irreplaceable synonyms. But you'll be surprised to learn that this has not always been the case. Let me invite you to a short trip in time where we will learn about the other side of Palanga. The side that usually remains hidden behind all the fun of summer resort. I'm holding a special album which contains the whole history of Palanga. Let's turn its pages together. We'll still need to get used to such trips. And where are we now? It is true that when we talk about Palanga, we cannot fail to mention Shivantoi. Archaeological finds dating back as far as 3000 BC have been discovered here. It is believed that the market and the port at the estuary of Shivantoi were active 1000 years ago. Over time, Shivantoi became a very important port. The 17th century can be called a period of port prosperity. At that time, Shivantoi was regularly visited by English, Dutch, and Swedish ships, which shipped away grain, fur, and honey, and brought iron, manufacturing, salt, wine, herring, or even weapons. Like Shivantoi, Palanga was once a small fishing village on the seashore too. Maybe that's where its name comes from. Because the elderly used to say that the fishermen's houses were once so close to the sea that the waves would hit their windowsills. Over the years, the village has grown more and more thanks to these hard-working fishermen, amber pickers, and artisans. Overseas merchants would come to the shore to exchange their goods for amber, animal fur, or Lithuanians' ribbons. But foreign ships would come here not only for trade purposes. Overseas visitors are said to have robbed locals with their weapons, depriving them not only of their property, but also of their wives and daughters. Well, I don't want to scare you too much. And the defense of this area, of course, has been strengthened over time. You are probably wondering who this lonely man is. This is an official guarding the border with Prussia. Under the Treaty of Melno, a border section was established in Palanga near Nemerseta in 1422. The word Nemerseta in German sounds like never enough, so the Germans used to joke that their empire ended at Nemerseta. That is why a state institution, today better known as customs, has been operating in Palanga since the middle of the 16th century. The establishment of customs in Palanga testifies that the town attracted not only the traders, but also smugglers. Vodka, by the locals called prusenia, tea, sugar, various fabrics, or even Lithuanian books were transported across the border. That is why Palanga had to witness one of the most painful and at the same time one of the most significant times in the history of Lithuania. I am talking about the years of the press ban. At that time, the Tsarist border guards had to fight with Lithuanian book smugglers transporting the illegal Lithuanian press. Guards and customs received 10 kopecks for each book seized, and as much as 10 rubles for one pud of newspapers or other publications. And here is Birute Hill, the highest dune on the coast of Palanga and one of the most important symbols of the city. For many years, it was a place of defense and worship, also known as an alcove. It is interesting after the country converted to Christianity. Birute Hill was converted from an object of pagan culture into a Christian one, and near it, Tishkevice set up their residence with an impressive park. Let's go take a look at it. Here we can take a short break. it is very simple when we see Birute Park in front of us. If you ask me, I will not hesitate to say that it is one of the most beautiful places, not only in Palanga, but also in the whole of Lithuania. We should be grateful to Count Tiškevičius for inviting the famous French landscape architect Édouard André and his son René Édouard André to lead the building of this park in Lithuania. It was thanks to Tiškevičius that Palanga became such a popular resort over time. The Tiškevičiai Palace is located between the Park Pond and Birute Hill, which offers a wonderful view of the Baltic Sea. The park is rich in small architectural elements. A sculpture of the Blessed Christ was erected in front of Tiškevičius Palace around 1905 and is believed to have been made in Paris. The park survived 2 world wars and many natural disasters. One of them is the 1967 hurricane. After that, the park was restored and expanded. It is gratifying that the spirit of the park created by André was preserved even after all of these changes. To this day, Birute Park is considered one of the most beautiful parks in Northern Europe. After the death of Count Juozapas Tiškevičius, his son, Count Felixis Tiškevičius, inherited Palanga in 1891. After abandoning his career as an officer, he continued the development work in the resort started by his father, and in 1897 built a representative palace. The interior of the palace is subtle and tasteful, decorated with valuable works of art, paintings, portraits of relatives, engravings, bronze artifacts, marble busts. The walls are decorated with oriental rugs, tapestries, and mirrors. Also, the palace was famous not only for its beauty, but also for its impressive library and the unique collection of the ancient amber artifacts collected by Count Tiškevičius himself. Count Tiškevičiai resided in Palanga until 1939. During the Soviet occupation, the park was nationalized, and in 1963, a branch of the Lithuanian National Museum of Art, the Palanga Amber Museum, was established there. Well, it's probably time to enjoy the sun. Due to the exceptionally beneficial time off by the sea and the growing popularity of balneology, in the first half of the 19th century, Palanga received more and more attention from visitors in summer. Swimming in the sea was the main purpose of a stay at the seaside, so the Counts Tiškevičiai constantly took care to provide various beach facilities for sunbathing, changing, or swimming. Changing rooms on the beach of Palanga were already built in the first half of the 19th century and did not lose their significance until the First World War. On the beach, supervisors made sure the set bathing hours for men and women were respected. Until the end of the 19th century, bathing time was announced by beating the drum. Over the years, the drum was replaced with flags of different colors. At the same time, bathing carts were introduced on the beach in Palanga. They were used in 3 ways. Sometimes as the changing cabins, sometimes for those who want to hide from unwanted eyes while bathing, and sometimes as protection for old or sick people who can't fight the breaking waves of the sea. Cold baths were also available on the beach of Palanga. At the shore, a row of 1-story changing cabins was built on the high poles in the shape of the letter U. The light entered the cabins through rectangular windows, and it was possible to enter the platform from the cabins that surrounded the entire bathing area. And in 1905, As an alternative to swimming in the sea, Count Felix Tyszkiewicz built a wooden building for warm bathing on Kestucho Street. Visitors were offered warm seawater baths with pine extract or salt as desired. Various treatments were also done here. Probably listening to these stories makes you wonder why Tyszkiewicz were so interested in Palanga? The answer to this question lies in our beloved Bridge of Palanga. Doubting that the railway to Palanga would ever be built, thus facilitating communication, Count Józef Tyszkiewicz invested in maritime transport and in 1888 built an almost 1 kilometer long L-shaped pier. The Count's steamship Phoenixus was moored here. The ship transported visitors from Liepaja to Palanga and bricks made in the Wilomyśka village brickyard and other farm products from Palanga to Liepaja. Do you see these narrow rails? In order to facilitate the transport of goods, a narrow gauge railway was built from the brickyard to the end of the bridge, which was used to transport goods in horse-drawn carriages. However, it soon became clear that the conditions for shipping here were inadequate. Because after each storm, the port was too shallow to navigate, and its continuous dredging was also too expensive. That's why the idea of a marina had to be abandoned, and over time, the bridge itself became a favorite destination for entertainment and dating. In 1905, a spacious gazebo decorated with an open-work wooden structure was built on the Palanga Bridge. Visitors could hide from the hot sun or the sudden rain under it. The bridge led to one of the most recognizable streets in Lithuania, where everyone who wants to feel the real summer bustle goes to this day. Today we know this street by the name of Basanavičius, but more than 120 years ago, it was called the Boulevard of Counts Tyszkiewicz. It was at this time that Palanga began to get famous as a summer resort loved by visitors. Spacious lots began to form around the boulevard, providing their owners with exceptional comfort and privacy. The construction of the first wooden villas, which still impress with their exceptional architecture, was started here. Although more and more villas were being built, there was a lack of recreational facilities in Palanga for a long time. Lack of restaurants, cottages, hotels. Everything changed when in 1877, the resort saw the first restaurant in Palanga, Kurhaus. It had a restaurant, hotel, reading room, billiard and game rooms, and held various concerts, dance evenings, and even performances. For a long time, Kurhaus was the main venue for cultural events in the city. And now that we mentioned the culture, let's visit the theater of that time. In the 1980s, Count Józef Tyszkiewicz built a modest wooden theater near Kurhaus to entertain his family and guests, which was used for amateur performances by family and acquaintances. Seeing that more and more people are coming to Palanga at the beginning of the 20th century, Felix Tyszkiewicz, in 1908, built a 600-seat theater building, which, according to the press of that time, was as beautiful as Palanga itself. Unfortunately, the new theater did not impress the audience. They complained of poor odor, acoustics, and lighting. That is why it was decided to renovate the theater after the first summer season, but in May 1909, the building burned down in a fire. And where do we go when we are in trouble and getting sick? To the old Palanga Pharmacy. It is called old for a reason. The pharmacy was established in 1827 and operates to this day. Its founder and first owner is Wilhelm Johann Grüning, a German from Riga, made it famous by patenting the production of the original extract of 27 herbs, Trios de Vineros. In 1897, construction of a new neo-Gothic church was begun. Roman figures above the main gate tell that the construction of the church in Palanga was completed in 1907. And the first wooden Catholic church in Palanga was built in 1554. The church has an impressive pulpit and 3 altars decorated with bas-relief of French marble. On the central altar, we see a painting of Mary, the Mother of God, mentioned as early as the 17th century, and the other 2 wooden altars located in the side naves have been moved here from the old wooden church. Shh, what's that? Villa Annapolis of Count Tyszkiewicz is one of the most famous villas in Palanga. It undoubtedly stands out with its unique architecture, which simply has no analogs on the Lithuanian seaside. Its first owner, and presumably its customer, Countess Sofia Tyszkiewicz, did not shy away from holding even spiritualism sessions in it. The wind organ in the tower added even more mystique and excitement to various stories. Legend has it that as soon as the Countess fell ill, she immediately opened the windows of the tower and listened to the sounds of these unusual instruments. At the end of the 19th century, 2 stone villas were built as more and more houses for summer vacation emerged in Palanga. One of them was Villa Baltoi. In the interwar period, the president of the Republic of Lithuania, Antanas Smetona himself, spent the summer there. He would come to Palanga with his family and a whole host of servants and advisors. His vacation lasted from 4 to 6 weeks. In fact, in the interwar years, holiday in Palanga was a luxury, so it is not surprising that officers belonging to the Lithuanian elite at that time also decided to buy a summer house here. In this villa for the holiday of the officers and their families, the cost of rent for 1 room was 2 litas per day. This price included a bed with a mattress, a pillow, a blanket, and towels. An extremely tempting offer, right? In the second half of the 20th century, Palanga kept growing. On the contrary, its reputation as the summer capital has been getting stronger. In the middle of the 20th century, the restaurant Vasara, which has long been considered the most important restaurant in the resort, emerged in Palanga. It is one of the first buildings to use the new thin-walled reinforced concrete construction technology at the time. In the evenings, the decorations inside it were visible from far away. Until now, stories exist about dinner at summer being a real luxury, and due to the large queues, not everyone managed to enjoy it. The resort guests weren't even scared away by the fact that inside it you could feel like in a greenhouse. After all, the building was made of glass, so it was really hot in the summer. In 2003, this building was reconstructed and modernized. Now the spirit of the old restaurant lives in the original spiral staircase, the column holding the building and the almost unchanged exterior of the cylindrical building with authentic window partitions. Today, Palanga is a modern and attractive resort, which guests visit not only in summer. I want to offer you some great entertainment. One of them is the House of Illusions called Eruka. It is an entertainment complex full of mysteries and magic, where you can experience many different adventures and take some memorable photos. Well, if you want even more illusions and magic in your life, be sure to visit the Fairy Tale Park, where you'll meet your favorite fairy tale heroes. Well, our journey is coming to an end. I hope it was interesting to get acquainted with the history of Palanga Resort. From now on, when walking around Palanga, don't forget to stop at the most important objects of the city and remember its impressive path to becoming a modern European resort. But I have an offer for you. If you want to know more about the famous places of Palanga, I invite you to put on virtual reality glasses and see exclusive stories.